I'll begin with Mr. Hughes. In the so-called Inflation Reduction Act, it allocated $1 billion to incentivize state and local governments to move to the 2021 International Conservation Code by tying the adoption of that to federal grant money. You mentioned the impact specifically in Kansas City, in my home state. When they adopted this code in 2023, new home buildings ground to a halt. And the number of builders active in the city declined by 78%. In one instance, a family that was already had an energy efficient home had to spend over $10,000 just to come in compliance with the new code, which only saved them $2 a year in their energy bill. Difference between what is required in those 2020 in the 2020 the 2001, is that right?
2012.
2012.
Their comparison was 2012.
Okay.
There are different states all over the country that choose different models. Everybody in North Carolina, we still use a combination of the 12 and 8. It's just whatever seems to fit at your state or locality. The main difference in those codes, and you might have seen my chart in the comparison or in the written testimony, most of it is insulation, wall insulation, slab insulation, extra R value, extra ceiling around the bands, and in most cases, it was just adding unnecessary layers of insulation or protection, because the truth of the matter is, for the last 25 years, the homes that we've built have performed very well on energy. Because most builders choose a program of one kind or another to make sure that their homes are built to a certain standard. Mm-hmm. It's hard to guarantee what energy bills are going to be, but it's good to give home buyers an assurance that the builder's done all he can to keep energy costs down. So to continue to put layers and layers of more insulation or more ceiling products just adds to the cost, as you can see, with very minimal return.
Right. In a way, you're increasing that initial, jumping off point for someone. Because, for example, the first home that my wife and I bought, it was not the most energy efficient home. It was not our dream home, but it was a starter home, at least something that we could step into and afford at that time. We then I did as I found dollars and available, was able to use those dollars to make that home more energy efficient. But all of that was done in a calculation. Does this have a return on investment for me? Am I actually going to save dollars? But to force it on people is I think what we're talking about today is that some of these regulations are raising the bar so high so that the initial entry point is really difficult for anyone to make, especially starting off.
Sure, absolutely. It has to be choice. Nobody appreciates innovative products any better than I do. I use it and encourage it, but I know it has to be choice.
Ms. Onwuka, last September, the U.S. Census Bureau reported that nearly half of the U.S. renters were cost burdened, meaning that they spend more than 30% of their income on housing costs. As Americans often rent for years before buying their first home, how might this be a very heavy burden on so many? How has this become such a heavy burden on Americans? And I say that, we've seen the increase in housing costs, but we're not talking about the increase in healthcare costs, which is also crowding out dollars from people's pocketbooks. Healthcare inflation and healthcare premiums are more than double what they were, even adjusted for inflation.
I mean, when you look at a record 22.4 million renter households paid more than 30% of their income on rent, that's a lot. Half of those spent more than 50% of their income on rent. So when you have half of your income going to rent, then you have to pay for utilities, and you have to pay for transportation and feed yourself. That leaves less for you to be able to put money away for savings and for that down payment. And as I talked about, when it comes to women, women struggle. Women take out bigger loans because they have less to put down from a down payment standpoint. And so as you free up more income for an individual through rising wages and tax cuts, leave more of their hard-earned dollars. And thank you for ending taxes on tips and taxes on overtime. That allows people to put money aside for things like a down payment.